But the government did not want to get involved and did nothing to stop the people. Eventually, the people grew more daring and chaos was imminent. So the rich took the law into their own hands and proceeded to catch and punish those who stole from them. In this way, peace returned to the land and the people stole no more from one another. It was with selfish intentions that the rich family acted, but the result of their deeds actually did everyone a great benefit. For we all know that goodness is proper and evil is improper. But remember that there are cases where deeds done out of good intentions result in evil, and deeds done with evil intentions result in good.
Father, what is half goodness and full goodness?
In the I Ching, it is said, when a person does not accumulate kind deeds, he or she will not attain good fortune. When one does not accumulate evil deeds, he or she will not bring about great adversity. If we are diligent in doing kind deeds, it is like collecting things in a container, and with diligence it will soon be full. If we are somewhat lazy in our collecting, then the container will be half filled. This is one explanation of half goodness and full goodness. Once upon a time, there was a poor lady. This lady went to visit a Buddhist temple and wished to make a donation. However, she was so poor that she had only 2 cents, so she gave these to the monk. To her surprise, the temple's abbot himself came forth to help her repent for past offenses and dedicate her merits in front of the Buddha. The lady was very touched by his move. Later on, the same lady was chosen to enter the imperial palace, and she became a concubine to the emperor. Clad in her riches, the lady once again went to the temple to donate, this time bringing thousands of silver pieces to give. To her dismay, the abbot only sent his disciple to help her dedicate her merits. The lady did not understand, and so she questioned the abbot.
Master, in the past, I only gave 2 cents in donation, and you helped me repent. Today, I donate in great sum, and you will not help me perform my dedication.
Amitabha, the money you gave in the past was scant. It came from a true and sincere heart, and it was necessary for me to repay your sincerity by personally performing your dedications. Today, although your donation is much more, the heart of giving is not quite as true and sincere as before. Thus, it is enough that my disciple performs your dedications for you.
This is an example of how thousands of silver pieces are only considered as half goodness and 2 cents as full. Do you understand? Another example is of Li Zhong, an immortal of the Han dynasty. He was teaching his student Dong Bing Liu the art of transforming iron into gold. They would use this gold to help the poor. Dong Bing asked his teacher, "Will the gold ever change back to iron again?" Li Zhong then answered him saying, "After 500 years it will return to its original form." Dong Bing then shook his head saying, "In this case I don't want to learn this art. It will harm those who possess the gold 500 years from now." Li Zhong then smiled and said, "To become an immortal, one must complete 3,000 virtuous deeds. What you have just said came from a truly kind heart. Your 3,000 deeds are fulfilled." When we perform a kind deed, it is best if we can do it out of our innermost sincerity, not seeking rewards or noting in our minds how much we have done. If we practice thus, then all our good deeds will reach fulfillment and success. If instead we always think of the deeds we have performed, looking for a reward of some kind, then no matter how diligently we practice in an entire lifetime, the deeds will still be considered half goodness. For example, when we donate money to the poor, we can practice what is called pure donation. In this type of giving, we do not linger on the thought of I, who is giving, or dwell on the importance of the object I am giving away, or think of who the receiver is. We are simply giving, and it is out of true sincerity and respect. When we give with pure donation, then one dew of rice can bring boundless fortune, and the merit from giving 1 cent can wipe away the transgressions of 1,000 eons. If we always keep in mind the good we have done and expect rewards for our actions, then even a donation of thousands of liang of gold would still be considered half goodness.
In that case, how can we define big goodness and small goodness?
Once there was a high-ranking official named Zhong Da-wei, who was led into the spirit world to be judged for his good and bad deeds.
Don't be alarmed. I have summoned you to the spirit world to let you know about your past good deeds. Can the judge bring out his records of good and evil deeds?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, I'm younger than 40 years of age. How could I have attained such a bad record?
When you have a single thought that is improper, it is considered a bad offense there and then. It does not have to be carried out through action to be counted as wrong. For example, when you see a pretty lady and give rise to improper thoughts, that is an offense. Weigh his scroll of good and evil deeds.
Yes, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, his scroll of good deeds is heavier than that of his evil deeds.
Surprise that my scroll of good deeds is heavier than that of my evil deeds. I can't really recall what major good deeds I've done.
Have you really forgotten about it? Once the Emperor planned to build a great stone bridge. You opposed the project due to the hardship it would cause the thousands of people needed for the work. Well, this is a copy of your proposal to the Emperor.
I did make the proposal, but the Emperor dismissed it. How can it bear so much weight against my numerous offenses?
Although the Emperor did not take your suggestion, that one thought of kindness you bore for the tens and thousands of people was very great. If the Emperor had listened to you, then the good performed would be even greater. Take him away.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Therefore, when one is determined to do good for the benefit of all people, then a small deed can reap great merits. If one thinks only about benefiting oneself, then even if many deeds of kindness are performed, the merit would still be small. What is difficult and easy goodness? The knowledgeable scholars of the past used to say, When one wishes to conquer one's greed and desires, one should start with the most difficult to overcome. We should practice like the old teacher Mr. Su of Jiangxi, who gave 2 years' worth of salary to a poor man to pay for the fine to the government. Thus he saved the man and his wife from being torn apart, should the husband be taken to prison. Another example is Mr. Zhang from Hebei, who saw an extremely poor man who had to mortgage his wife and child and had no money for their redemption. If he was unable to pay for their return, the mother and child could both lose their lives. Yet another example is Mr. Jin from Chenqiang, Jiangsu province. He was old and without any sons, so his neighbor offered their young daughter in marriage to him to give him descendants to carry on his lineage. But Mr. Jin could not bear to ruin the otherwise bright and long future of this young girl, and so refused the offer and sent her back home. This is another example of being able to overcome what is most difficult to conquer in oneself. Therefore, the heavens showered down fortune, which was especially good for these 3 old men. It is easier to accumulate merit and virtue for those who have money and power than for those who are poor. But if one refuses to cultivate kindness, even when it is easy and one has the chance to do so, then it would truly be a shame. For those who are poor and without prestige, doing kind things for others is a great difficulty. But if in this difficulty one can still manage to help others, then it is a great virtue, and the merits gained would be boundless. In being a moral person and dealing with affairs, we should help others whenever the opportunity presents itself. You should know that helping others is not such an easy task, and that there are many ways to do it. In short, the ways of helping others can be simplified into 10 important categories.
Father, what are these 10 categories?
Go and get ready the brush and ink before you take them down.
Well, I'm ready, Father.
All right. The first is supporting the practice of kindness. When we see the people trying to do a little kindness, we should assist them in their deeds and help their kindness grow. When we see others who wish to do good but cannot accomplish it on their own, we should lend a hand and help them succeed. This is the way we can cultivate supporting the practice of kindness. The second category is harboring love and respect. We should harbor respect towards those who are more knowledgeable, older, or of higher status than we are. For those who are younger, less fortunate, or of lower status, we should harbor a mind of loving care. The third category is helping others succeed. When we see a person who is considering whether or not to do a good deed, we should persuade him to put all his efforts into doing it. When others meet with difficulties in practicing kindness, we should help think of ways to overcome the difficulty and guide them to success. We must not be jealous at the accomplishments of others, nor try to sabotage their good acts. The fourth category is persuading others to practice kindness. When we meet a person who is doing evil, we should tell him that doing evil will only result in great suffering and painful retribution, and that he must avoid doing evil at all costs. We should tell people who refuse to practice kindness or are only willing to practice a little kindness that doing kind deeds will definitely have its rewards, and that kindness not only has to be cultivated, but must be cultivated constantly and on a large scale. The fifth category is helping those in desperate need. Most people tend to give when there is no need to give and refuse to give when there is really a need. When we meet people who are in great difficulties, emergencies or dangers, we should lend them a hand and help in whatever way we can to bring them out of their difficult times. The merits accrued from helping others in times of desperate needs are boundless indeed. However, one should not become proud and conceited for doing such deeds. The sixth category is developing public projects for the greater benefit of the people. Projects which will bring great benefit to the public usually have to be performed by those with great influence and power. If a person has this capacity, such as rebuilding the water system or assisting a disaster area, then he ought to do it for the benefit of the general public. The seventh category is giving through donation. People of this world love, seek, and even die for money. Who is actually willing to help others by giving their own money away? When we recognize the difficulty involved in donation, we can come to appreciate the rarity of the man who is willing to give for the purpose of helping others in need. He is an even greater man in the eyes of the poor. The eighth category is protecting the proper teachings. This is referring to the teachings of different religions. We must be able to differentiate between proper religions and deviant religions. Teachings with proper wisdom and views, such as that of Buddhism, which promotes kindness and goodness in society, should be supported. If one happens to see others in the act of destroying such proper teachings, one must put forth a complete effort to protect and uphold these teachings. The ninth category is respecting our elders. Anyone who is deeply learned, knowledgeable, has high prestige, or is older than us is considered to be an elder and should be highly regarded and respected. The 10th category is loving and cherishing all living things. We should feel sympathy for all living creatures, even the tiny ants, which know of suffering and are afraid to die. How can we kill and eat beings and not feel the least sorry? There are countless good deeds which I am unable to mention here one by one. Let it be sufficient for me to say that you will be able to accumulate many merits if you deliberate on the above 10 categories of helping others. Teaching, it was stated, the law of heaven takes from those who are arrogant and benefits those who are humble. The same holds true in the law of earth. The humble shall be replenished just as flowing water filling up lower places on the ground as it passes by to make up the differences. The law of spirits and gods bring harm to those who are arrogant and fortune to those who are humble. Even the laws of men despise the arrogant and love the humble. Therefore, heaven, the earth, the spirits, gods, and people, they all prefer humility over arrogance. The Chinese Book of History has also said, a person's arrogance will bring him harm, and his humbleness will bring him benefit. I often went to take exams accompanied by others, and every time I would meet scholars who were very poor. I noticed that before they succeeded in passing the exams and became prosperous, their faces showed such humility, peace, and harmony that I felt I could almost hold that quality in my hands. Several years ago, I took my imperial exam in Peking. Among the 10 applicants from my village, Qing Yuding was the youngest and extremely humble. I told one of the applicants that this young man would definitely pass the exam this year. He then asked me how I could tell. I said that only those who are humble were qualified to receive fortune. Sure enough, when the test results came out, Qing Yuding passed the exam. Kai Chi-feng from Chikiang, Huang Yuanchao, and Jian Shuhia from Shantung only managed to pass their imperial exams after they carried themselves in a humble way, which was an immense change from their proud and arrogant ways in the past when they failed in their exams several times in succession. However, there was a scholar named Wei Yan Chang from Jiangying who was very learned and wrote good essays. He was very well known among many scholars. One year he took his exam, and when the test results were posted, he found that he had not passed the exam. Damn.
Hey, you! Hey.
The examiner must be blind. I am so talented and am a master in writing poems and essays. How could he have failed me? This is such an injustice! What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at your ignorance. The apparent reason for your failure in exam is that your essay must not be good.
How do you know it's not good when you haven't even read it?
The most important element in writing good essays is peace and harmony. Your angry accusation just now clearly shows that your mind is not at peace and your temperament is violent. How could you possibly write good essays?
What should I do?
Whether you pass or not depends on your fate. If you're destined not to pass, then no matter how good your paper is, you will still fail the exam. You yourself will have to make the few changes.
How can I change it if it's predestined?
Through the power to form your destiny lies in the heavens. The right to recreate it is in yourself. As long as you're willing to do kind deeds and cultivate hidden virtues, there is nothing you ask that you will not receive.
I'm only a poor scholar. What good deeds can I possibly do?
Practicing kind deeds and accumulating hidden virtues all stem from the heart. As long as you constantly harbor the intent to practice kindness and accumulate virtues, your merits are infinite and boundless. Take the virtue of humility, for example. It does not cost anything. Why can't you be humble and reflect on your own essay instead of blaming the examiner for being unfair?
Wei Yan Chang listened to the Taoist monk and from then on suppressed his arrogant ways. He became very mindful of his own actions and tried not to make mistakes. Every day he put forth additional effort to do more good deeds and accumulate more merits. 3 years later, he dreamed one night that he entered a very tall house and saw a booklet that contained all the names of the candidates who passed the exam that year. He saw many blank lines. Unable to understand what it meant, he asked the person next to him, "What is this?" The person replied, "This is the booklet that contains all the names of the candidates who passed the exam this year." Wei Yan asked, "Why does it have so many blank lines?" The person answered, "The spirits of the underworld check on the candidates every 3 years. Only the names of those who practice kind deeds and do not make mistakes are allowed to appear in this booklet. The blank lines used to bear the names of those who are supposed to pass the exam but due to their recent offenses, their names have been erased. If for the past 3 years you have been very careful and have exerted such self-control that you haven't made any mistakes, then you would be able to fill this blank. I hope you will cherish this opportunity and take care not to make any mistakes. Sure enough, Wei Yan passed the exam that year and placed 105. From the examples given above, we know that spirits and gods are always watching our behavior from above. Therefore, we must immediately do whatever is beneficial to others and avoid doing whatever is violent, dangerous, and harmful to others. These are all things we can decide for ourselves. As long as we harbor good intentions, refrain from evil doings, don't offend the heaven, earth, spirits, and gods, humble ourselves, be tolerant and not arrogant, then the heaven, earth, spirits, and gods will constantly have pity on us. Only then will we have a foundation for our future prosperity. Those who are full of conceit are definitely not destined to be great men. Even if they prosper, they will not be able to enjoy their fortune for long. Intelligent people would definitely not make themselves small and narrow-minded and refuse the fortune they are entitled to. Besides, those who are humble always increase their opportunities to learn. If a person is not humble, who would want to teach him? Also, humble people are always willing to learn the strengths of others. When others perform good deeds, the humble person will learn and follow their examples. In this way, the kind deeds humble people accomplish are boundless. For those who wish to cultivate and improve upon their virtues, they especially cannot do without the virtue of humility. The ancients had an old saying, "Those who have their hearts set on attaining success and fame will surely attain success and fame. Those who have their hearts set on attaining wealth and position will surely attain wealth and position." A person who has great and far-reaching goals is like a tree having roots. A tree with roots will eventually sprout into branches, flowers, and leaves. A person who has set down great and far-reaching goals must humble himself in every thought and try to relieve another's burden, even if the occurrence is as insignificant as a speck of dust. If you can reach this level of humility, you will naturally touch the hearts of heaven and earth. Furthermore, we are the creators of our own prosperity. If we truly want to create it, we certainly will succeed. Look at the candidates who sought for fame and wealth. In the beginning, they did not harbor a sincere heart. It was only a passing notion. When they fancied it, they sought it. When their interest dropped, they stopped. Mencius once told Emperor Xuanqi, "Your Highness has a love for music, but your love for music is only a personal pleasure. If you can expand from the heart which seeks after personal happiness to that of sharing happiness with all your subjects, and make them just as happy as you are,